want to welcome you to 8String TV. This is T. Allen Stringer, and today we are preparing to roll out the first public information regarding the rollout of this platform that we affectionately call 8String TV. Of course, our motto is where dreams go to become reality. We thank you for joining us here on this Zoom Facebook meeting, and those who are in the back room with me who are either already members who are inquiring about membership to be a part of what I believe to be a most exciting venture referred to as 8STRINGTV.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you out here. And of course, as you see at the bottom of the roll, there is information regarding 8STRINGTV.com. You can take advantage of it in real time and meet us at an appointed date that you will set as you go to our back room to make your appointments. Thank you one and all for showing up. And here we go. So 8STRINGTV.com, our theme again is where dreams go to become reality. 4 points that I want to bring up and then deal with the last one in totality. The history of 8String TV. Well, 8String TV was literally born out of the pandemic. Who said good things can't come out of bad things? You take the lemon and you make lemonade, and that's what I end up having to do shortly. I'll just say this in a short form. I had to set up some infrastructure for ministry, and we went from one bad experience with one particular platform, and then I just tooled around for a minute being a studio engineer and an owner of Studio B, which is Studio Bible, for the past 15 years. I knew what to do, and of course, I stumbled on all of these various ways, and as you know now, it's history. Most churches are trying to stream in one form or another. That metastasized into the idea of a platform. Just as my recording studio is a 501c3 nonprofit, and it really helps people who can't afford the cost. Back in the day, the cost was something like $50, $75, $100, $200 an hour. And if you messed up, so be it. You had to come back and start all over again. Having been victim of that system, I promised myself if I ever started a recording studio, I would eliminate that, and I did. So my studio charges are based on a project and not on the hours, and people love it because they pay half up front. When I'm done, they pay the rest. They can make all the mistakes they make. They can take as long as they need to take, reasonably so, and they have a product without all the extra cost. And so 8String TV, as I was preparing to launch it, which rolled out December the 13th last year, I'm almost saying this year, my father's birthday. And ironically, so as I counted the days to the end of the year from his birthday, it was 18 days. So all the irony just plays out as those who know the numbers situations I play out with 8 and 18. And we began to roll out this, and I said, well, I'll charge. I was kicking around $91 a month and things like that. Then eventually the same spirit settled on me for studios. And I said, you know what? Let's work with a different way. We're going to work with the CFC, the contract-free client membership, which is the bulk of this presentation today. So that's the history, the scope of 8String TV's platform. It will be everything from DIY to teaching to preaching to live church to dance in terms of spiritual dance. I can't control all the aspects, but good dancing. Humor. We got humor. We got Brother Carl out there. He's a cook. He's cooking, and others are asking to be on. We have people who are freelancers, like we have our latest Bridget Prince, who's very good. She's our new entry, and she does a lot of filming, having worked for major TV stations here in Connecticut. So it's a broad platform. Now, I'm a preacher. Many of you on here are Christians. And of course, that's the initial draw, that's the initial thrust, but it is a TV, it is a public venue, and therefore I'm not going to limit it just to that, particularly when you think in terms of the fact that my platform can operate 365 days in the year, 24/7. I just think it's probably not wise to try to do all of that in one scale. So it's a public thing, and we'll deal with those particular obstacles as we approach that. But for those who are interested, because you know me to be a clergy, do know that 8String TV is a multi-formatted platform. Now we're into phase one of 8String TV's operation, and this is the most interesting phase because I had to learn how to put this together in terms of all the logistics. I've had good experience in audio engineering. I've got some of the best equipment. I know how to do all of the good sound, but the video is just a little different. It's not much, but it's different. The graphics and all the editings. If you've watched Temple Nation's Intercast ministry, I do all of that right from scratch. I create that stuff. I put it together. I grab various clips and I throw them together and I just, voila, there it is. So we are in phase one. Phase one means we are in the branding in process of 8String TV. So the branding stage is most crucial. That's where you look to bring in the right content and you put out the right formats that hopefully draws attention to your television channel or internet streaming channel, as it would be appropriately called. And so we're in phase one right now. I've been spending since September till now just kind of beating the server around. If you were to go to my website, you would click on live stream. I have a playlist just rotating. I just kind of put stuff together, put it out there now to see, how the servers hold up and, what it is I need to do. I look at the content. I have the ability to view it back here on all three levels. And so we're breaking it in. And with breaking it in, I'm bringing in my new clientele, the first layer, who for all intents and purposes would be considered founding members of 8STRINGTV. So congratulate yourself. And so this operation is moving forward. Again, it's something that we're learning. I've discovered, as some of you as pastors have discovered, that the internet is imperfect in terms of its streaming quality. Sometimes things drop out, things happen. I held my breath on New Year's Eve because I knew that the internet would be a buzz, and I was hoping the service could hold up, and they did hold up. So, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Some days it's inexplicable. You don't know why things are dropping out. There is no control. So I would say going in, that's what I had to look for. And I'm about 95% happy with what I've witnessed and experienced thus far with the servers that I use. That will be called the CDN, the Content Delivery Network that I deal with currently. And so we're at phase one, which brings us to the final bullet into our full discussion. The contract-free client membership is where we are now. That's what we're going to be talking about. The length and the breadth of this presentation, I hope to be done in about 25 good minutes. And we're going to deal with what is the contract-free client membership. I'm going to do something quite different. Most people, when they get ready to present, they tell you the cost at the end. I've done that where they, these videos that come on, these videos that are linear, meaning they go from point 0 to point 100 and you don't have any play controls to stop it. Don't you hate those things? You're trying to get to, can you tell me what's going on, how much it's going to cost me? And they're going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. They're taking the last 60 seconds, they tell you. I hate that. I'm not going to be that way. I'm not going to be linear. I'm going to be interactive, and we're going to present to you the cost. How much does CFC membership cost is perhaps the very best question. And my answer is below industry standards and in between a free will offering and a reasonable donation. Now, if you can imagine what that is, you've already landed your cost. That simply being said, it indicates to you and I that the membership for 8STRINGTV's CFC contract-free services is based on, I'll go back to that slide again, below industry standards and in between a free will offering and a reasonable donation. Okay, so that between a free will offering and a reasonable donation is exactly how I'm starting my CFCers. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is true. And I would also say that the quality that I'm trying to exact will not be typical of this low price. You're not getting, 8-bit because you're not paying 64-bit money for those who understand resolution. You're going to get the best because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what level you come in at. The bottom line is the presentation of 8STRINGTV determines its audience, determines its viewership, and all the other things come with it, particularly your own ministry or your clientele that you're turning to, your libraries and things. They need to see quality. And so I can't skimp on quality. And in terms of that, the end user, that is those on the other side viewing your content, will not know what you're paying based on what they are viewing. So don't let that disturb you at all. It's the quality, the excellence that I'm looking for every level, no matter what they contribute in case of this donation-based format. So that's pretty much what it is. It is, again, below industry standards, in between a free will offering and a reasonable donation. That's going to be interesting. We'll talk about that a little later on. Okay, so let's look at this. Contract-free client, which is referred to as CFC. A CFC membership is an open-ended agreement between 8STRINGTV and a party that have mutually agreed to post and store content on sites owned and managed by 8STRINGTV. So the way this operates is that basically you will give me the content, and there are rules as to how much you can have and present. And that content is taken in by me. It is stored on secured sites that we own or that we are renting or leasing from. And it is managed by us. Manage just simply means how we put it out for schedule and how we present it on your behalf. At no time does that affect what you control in terms of your own content, okay? You own it at all times. There is no binding contract between 8STRINGTV and CFC members. Either party can end the CFC relationship at any given time without notice. Let me just caveat a few things here. When I say no binding contract, I don't mean to intimate that there aren't terms of agreement. Terms of agreement mean you do this and I'll do that. If you were to go to 8stringtv.com at the bottom of my website, the first page, you can see my public privacy policies and terms and agreements, and they're growing as we grow because you add on to them, but it's very extensive as it is now because Apple TV and Google required me to have that out there before they would allow me to use their apps. And so it's important to know there are some terms of agreement I just can't willy-nilly do. I'm not above the law. And then there are some things that are expected of you, but it's not a binding contract, meaning set dates and set terms, because if your CFC membership is based on the in-between of a free will offering and a reasonable donation, then, it's basically based on the budget you can afford to do in the given period that we prescribe for you to give. So do note that there is no binding contract, but there are agreements, there are terms that each side has to comply with. But in the middle of the night, you can change horses in the middle of the stream for whatever good reason you might have. Certainly, I cannot prevent you because I'm not putting you in a binding contract. And the same is with me. I can, for any reason at all, say our relationship is over. And that's just the way it is. I don't anticipate that, but I'm sure because it's a business, it's going to happen because everything doesn't work as smoothly as you so envision. To activate and maintain a CFC status, a party is required to make a donation, but a donation between a free will offering and a reasonable donation once a month to 8STRINGTV by the 8th, because my lovely number, day of each month. So at the 8th day of each month, or by that 8th day, you will make that reasonable donation to 8STRINGTV, and we'll continue our relationship. That's just one term right there, not contract, but a term. The donation made will be made in a reasonable amount, there's that word again, and below current industry standards for services of like kind. If you're trying to figure out, well, I don't know what that means, like as a musician or as a preacher, sometimes when I'm doing events, I'll look at what the going standard is. You Google it and they'll tell you, well, you pay this much for a preacher, you pay this much for a musician, and you base it in and around that. Or if you're just fixing your house, same thing. So here, whatever you determine that to be, you should look at industry standards for the services that you will get from 8STRINGTV. Now, they will not all be presented today because they're vast. So not only is your quality going to be good, but the services are going to be good. Except the services are scalable and they are a la carte. And if you need those services, you will pay certain monies. But there's a reasonable level of CFC membership where you may not even need it. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little further down the line. But that donation must be made by the 8th of the month, and certainly you can use the reasonable industry standards for services of like kind, which you match that I will surrender to you or the clientele of 8String TV. Donations can be made online at 8stringtv.com through a secured server or by check and money order. I am not trying to take cash because I need records, because it's pretending on a donation-based structure. I still need to do accounting. I still have to register those things. So it's important that I'm able to show the accountant and the terms and the agreements that we've made in terms of the payments that you donate towards this particular platform. And of course, if you go to my website, you'll see a banner that says appointments. That banner, that little small banner at the top, to the left of the bottom of the 8 will take you right to an appointment page. And on that appointment page, you actually can pay. It's paid through a secured server. I'm using Stripe at this time. It's a browser-based platform. It's been used. So far, works pretty good. They take care of it on their end because they take my money to take care of it. And you get receipts, official receipts are emailed back to you. And so you should go over to there while you're making an appointment. You can also pay. You don't have to pay anything, then just make an appointment. But the calendar rolls down and you determine when you need to meet. My staff responds to verify if that's a good date that you've chosen. So we try to work around you. We're making it very, very easy to work with. CFC members will receive the following services in lieu of donations. Now that we talked about the cost, let's talk about the services. See, I'm going the other way. I'm telling you what you should expect to give, which I don't know what that is. And then now I'm going to tell you what that gets you. So don't you like that? The linear video doesn't work. Now I'm interactive with you and I'm giving you that. So let's talk about what that means. A video library channel, which we call VLC, on which they or you can store up to 18 videos, which can be accessed by their viewers from anywhere in the world. Let me just kind of tell you what that means when I say from anywhere in the world and how that works for you and how that blesses you when you are just giving a donation in between fuel offering and reasonable services. So when you say VLC, and you'll hear that term being used as we are branding the channel, we're also branding terms. CFC is a new term. VLC is a new term. This is proprietary to 8String TV somewhat. I don't own it copyright-wise, but it is what we use to identify things. So get used to these acronyms. I'm good at that. Okay, so the VLC, the Video Library Channel, which is why you call yours a channel, can store up to 18 videos. Now, again, if you go to 8String TV, and you look at you go to the front page, to the web page, and you find the video library. You click on that, you will see populated. We began populating the first beginning of our membership there, and they have their video library channel. If you hit the arrows to the left or the right, it scrolls depending on how many videos. I think once you get past 5, it'll start doing the movement thing, and you can see their videos. First thing you see at the top, there's an overview of who they are. You click on that, you say, oh, I like that channel, and you go down below, and you click on their videos, whichever one you want to watch. That's where the video library is. That library is accessible to the entire globe through one format or another. I'll talk a bit about this a little more, but let me just kind of share some of that with the early teas. So we have the access on Roku TV. We have the access on Apple TV. All those that subscribe to those TVs or have those TVs can find 8String TV's app in the appropriate stores, download it to their phones, and they can click on it and go to, in this case, the VLC and see you. Now, I've tested it. I've got a bot out there. Well, not a bot, but I got a plugin out there that monitors my traffic since I've been testing out my channel, my platform. And I mean, listen, they're looking from Russia, from France, from Sweden, from the Netherlands, from Italy, from Germany, from Canada, from the UK. Under the purview of my particular relationship with Roku TV and Apple TV, there are 17 countries. And even some of the ones I mentioned, they're not necessarily in the 17 countries, but we do know how this works, right? However, I'm getting viewership outside of that scope based on the platform. And that's not the big stuff. The big stuff is You also don't need to have Roku TV or Apple TV. You simply just need a browser. If you have a browser, guess what? The browser will allow you to go to my channel through a browser. Hold on. Sorry, I had to do some housekeeping electronically. But the browser will allow you to go to my channel through a regular internet browser. Now, this is important because being a pastor, we have mothers in the church, or not so many mothers, just older people like in the boomers generation who don't like messing around with those devices. And that's why the browser is key, because I tell them, if you could search the internet, if you could see your emails, or if you could pay bills, which most phones do, you can access 8STRINGTV's platform through our website. So they don't even need the apps. Now, incidentally, the apps are free, but they don't need the apps. They can go right to it. Just get on their phones, type in 8stringtv.com, hit it, and it's going to take you to the front page. You know how that works. So effectively, the whole world is your oyster. Your 18 videos can be accessed at any given time of the day. There is no blackout period for that being available to those individuals who are interested in looking at your content. This is further increased by the capacity of 8STRINGTV's playback format. Let's talk about the playback format. Now, this is where it gets very interesting, because this is a dynamic work in process. It has evolved even since I've started branding the channel. First of all, initially, those who came in at the first phase, or are in the first phase, I should say, I told them we're just going to give you 5 videos in your VLC. But upon further considerations and research of the data and what I need to do and what my costs are, I went from 5 to 18. So now they can have 18 videos on their platform. For pastors, you know what that means. That's like 3 months of Bible classes, okay? That can be out there where people can go watch. Your membership can go out and watch exactly what you'll go out to my channel and watch this. Okay, in the privacy of their home. I brush past it. I'll come back to that later. Roku TV, I'll deal with that a little later. Put a pin in it. But they can literally watch your particular channel just that quick. The playback of up to 6 of those videos during 2 weeks of 8STRINGTV's live playback of VLCs during the scheduled times of that day. That's another benefit. So if you were to go out again to 8STRINGTV, I have a playback loop that's currently going on now. And I determine what's in that loop. That loop has been playing in one form or another since September, because I wanted to make sure that the tires were good on the car. So I just put stuff out there and let it loop. And those who recently are in this courting period with me, their stuff is out there and it's looping. And I decide how I'm going to put it out there and just see what it looks like, what it feels like. And that's their VLC. That's their video library channel content. They are being played, some of them online now. Even as we speak, their overviews have been playing throughout the day. That's the playback. That's the live playback. And I emphasize live playback because that same live playback can immediately go live. So, for instance, your church has ministry on this Sunday. You say, Pastor Stringer, I want to go live 10 o'clock. Well, now that's a scale-up service. That's not CFC. That's a scale-up service. And I said, well, this is what that costs, okay? And you say, fine. You make your donation, or in this case, you pay, because it won't be a donation. Whatever that scale-up cost beyond the CFC membership is. And we hit some buttons, and that feed that's now looping fades into your live services. And our live channel, not that you would do this, can stream to our website for 5 hours straight. And the reason I mention our website is because Facebook and YouTube have limits. Most platforms have limits because I can restream to them as well, which I'll talk about in a minute, but they have limits. But with my particular channel in my back room, through my live feed, which goes directly to Roku TV, to Apple TV, or on the website through an internet browser, 5 hours straight. That's crazy, right? But it can be done. Not that you'd want to do that. It's a bit overbearing on most people, but unless it's something of that nature. And so, but for these individuals who are doing the playback up to 6 videos, let me just kind of talk about that because I digressed a bit. So 6 videos. Okay, so what I'm currently looking at is a 4-week operation. Because we're branding the channel, and because I want to make sure we land with quality and soundness, I'm not trying to break out the entire month right away. So I have, at this point, targeted the 3rd and the 4th weeks for your content. Now, what it's going to be like when it's finally totally populated. What I mean by populated is that I have the capacity to run 108 VLCs in those 2-week periods, or before altogether. It's half of that to start. So I have the capacity to run half of that, okay, within the 2-week period of the 3rd and the 4th week. And those individuals will be on a rotation of what we call 4 breakout sessions or 4 breakout periods. And they are based on hours, 6 a.m., 12 noon. 12 noon, 6 p.m., 6 p.m., 12 midnight, 12 midnight, back to 6 a.m. Within those blocks, your particular content will stream either on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. In weeks 3 and 4, that gives you 6. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, week 3. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, week 4. That's 6. You're in a rotation during a particular block of time. I determine when you rotate. You do have power to do that, but that's a scaled up cost. But I determine when I'm going to run your content. You determine what videos you want me to show as a CFCer now. I'm not talking about paid clients. As a CFCer, you determine I want you to run in the first period of week 3 these 3 videos, and then in the week 4, I want these 3. Or you can say I want the same video all 6 weeks or days. That's totally on you. If you want it to happen at a particular time within the block during those 3 days, then that's a scalable cost. You say, no, Pastor, I want to reserve my spot right here during my 3 days in week 3 and in week 4. Then that's obviously a different animal, and then I'll give you that. Now, why do I do that? The reason I try to determine the flow of the content and the schedule is because I'm trying to determine how to keep the audience engaged, and I can't have every day being sweet potato pie. You know, I got to make sure it's mixed, that it's run such like your cable networks where people are interested and it catches the interest of not just one individual. Now, as a minister, that's important, because you want eyes to occasion your channel or your VLC being played back, and you may very well convict some of those individuals who are passing on through you to see Brother Carl cooking. No, wait a minute, I see Carl cooking, but this after Carl, before Carl sounds interesting, I'm going to check them out. And so there are some benefits there, but that's how that works. Now, the good news is, because we have not filled our quota, guess what? You're going to run a lot. Because I'm going to use your stuff until I fill up my void. So when I get ready to start, now, some of y'all been on rotation for 2-3 weeks straight, every day, all day. So, you know, that's how it is. But when we get it populated, don't get too comfortable with that. It's going to fall back to the standards that I have laid for CFCers. I hope that makes sense. If not, I'm sure you can get me on the Q&A later on. Free consultation is also what you get up on setting up your VLC, free in-service training on how to edit and produce, improve your content. Some have spoken with me, said, I have no clue of what I'm doing. Well, again, it's in our interest that you look good. We'll set you up. We'll talk with you, no cost. We'll work with you, advise you, and educate you on what you need to do and what you need to know, because it's important that you land, because you make us look good or you make us look bad. So we have a vested interest in assisting you, and I'm not going to tell you, well, go study some videos on YouTube. I may tell you to go there after I instruct you, but I will not tell you to go cold turkey. unless I feel it's something you can gain right away, because YouTube is your best friend. Google is like the natural Bible. Okay, so those two things do work well, but there's nothing better than the person who's experienced talking to you what they know, and then you draw those notes from what you hear out there. That's what's going to happen. So free consultation upon setting up your VLC. You won't be in it alone. That will mean we'll help you brand it, help you decide how you want to approach it, and consult with you to make you look good. So all of that comes for free. For you give us any reasonable donation as a CFCer. Of course, the in-service trainings will happen constantly as we see them needed to happen, and we'll gather you on Zoom, say, come on, let's talk, or you can watch the video later as some will do regarding this. The scope of your market, as I alluded to earlier, said I'll expand a little more. Roku TV, Apple TV, Google Play Store. Now, I remember when Roku first came out, that little purple stick, I thought it was a joke. I have several companies that have given me the Roku purple stick. I'm on it right now, media. I've never used it. They've given me one because I thought it was kind of strange looking. But little did I know that internet TV or streaming TV is here to stay. And for those preachers in particular who think when you go back into ministry, whenever we get back to any kind of normal, that you can leave this, I got news for you. That's why I picked it up. It's here to stay. It's the way the children communicate now. And so they've had an aid in terms, or an assist, I should say, in terms of the pandemic that shut everything down. Literally, their world has come alive for the most part, because that's what they do. They gaze at their devices. They watch TV. Statistics, go do your own research. Only take it from me. Do your own research online, and it'll show you how internet streaming TV is taking the cable network by leaps and bounds. You know that to be true because now you have Peacock, which is owned by Comcast. You have Fire Stick, which is owned by Amazon. Those are the big boys. If they are going after this market, trust me, it's worth going after. And I do intend to pick up their streams at some point if it's cost effective. That is Fire Stick and Peacock. And that might be added well to this scope. And you still will be a CFC having all that exposure. Isn't that amazing? And so the Apple TV and Roku TV is really a big deal right now. And if you go out there, you'll see it. Viewers can find you in their e-stores. They'll see that device. They'll see 8String. They'll click and download it. It's a free app. And they can stream directly to their phones, because I'm looking also at a mobile streaming app that allows your phone just to do it itself. Now, I'm still on the ropes about that, but right now, this I do have. This, you're in the game. Roku's out there. Apple TV's out there. We're in Google Play Store. It's as we speak. This is not something I'm thinking about doing. This has been done since the 4th of December. Scope of your market. Viewers can also find your VLC, again, as I said, our website earlier, 8stringtv.com. To me, that really ups the ante. And frankly speaking, except that you are a nerd like myself electronically, this actually cancels the need for Roku TV and Apple TV, unless you just want to watch it in your home on a big screen. This actually allows you to do it, period. So you don't have to graduate to these fancy devices, which are very... Well, not Apple. Apple can cost a bit. Roku stick is cheap. You don't have to subscribe to it. You go get it, plug it in to the back of your television set, set up your account, and pick what you want. You don't have to pay for anything. You can have, or they can have, a Roku stick plugged into their TV, watching your content and not pay a penny. Okay, so please understand that's how that operates. It's not a cost there. You can scale up your VLC. This is where I started alluding to the cost. Scale up, I call it a la carte. You can stream live. Even though you're a CFCer and you're relegated to those blocks of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, one block a day, eventually is where you end up. Right now, you're being blessed by having a lot of exposure. But you can also say, well, Pastor, I want to stream. Fine. That's in the other weeks. I'm still working on that. Phase 2 of the schedule. We'll be doing that, but I want to take care of this first level first. And we'll be doing live stream, and it'll be a la carte, and you'll be able to do it. You can restream. Restream simply means when you hit a button. Matter of fact, I'm restreaming right now. My particular Zoom meeting is playing out on 3 different places on Facebook right now, on Twitch and on YouTube. Right now, I'm restreaming. I'm one voice speaking to about 6 different platforms. That's a restream capacity, which we have here. You can go check it for yourself. You see me out there several times. because we have presence on YouTube. There's a YouTube 8String Global. There's, of course, Facebook 8String, and then Twitch. Yeah, many don't pay attention to that, but I'm out there on that as well. That's for the gamers. And so we're in everybody's world, but I can restream. So when you scale up to do that live, you're getting the benefit of going all over with one button. You're like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, if you believe in that. And so you can restream. You can reserve, as I said earlier, your playback time, and that's a scale up. Otherwise, I play you back when I want to play you back and where I want to put you. Those prices are not yet done. Those are prices. But they will be reasonable. I am not going to price you to a point, I'm not bait and switching somewhat, get you in free and then charge you the moon for everything else. It's not going to happen like that because it's conscious to the persons who are affording it, and particularly church people. And I can do that because right now, anyway, my overhead isn't that big. Now, if it got really huge, then we'd have to talk about that. Then it would not be cost prohibitive for me to continue to be such a nice person because, I got to pay my bills too. But the reality is right now it's sweet and I'm passing on the sweetness. And so at the same time, these scalable services, I don't want to make it where you can't afford it because I need you to do good, look good. So it works for me. There's a benefit for all of us. And so you can reserve playback time. Those are some of the scalable services. You can scale up your VLC much more. Graphics, jingles, copyright service, remote live stream services, which I alluded to. But those other three, graphics, you see all the graphics here and what I do if you watch my Intercast. You want to get a taste of what I do, go through Stringer's feed and look at some of my Intercast, our Intercast Ministry Bible Ways on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff out there we do. You'll see a lot of the graphics. Right now, my protege is doing the earlier part, but earlier in the year, I was doing most of it. And so she's catching the bug and she's starting to put together those funny graphics and things that we put out. But we can go coarse and dry. You want the executive look? That's pretty easy. Okay. I'm programming the way I'm programming now because I know the people's eyes dance. And of course, also my approach is a little different as you see here in those in the back room or those who are out there. I don't usually show my face. I'm like the Wizard of Oz. I don't really show my face because it ain't about me. I like to keep the people's attention because I believe that people hear with their ears, not with their eyes. And so I think to me, my theory is, and it's always been, this is me, nobody else is wrong because they do it differently, is it's like Franklin Roosevelt's fireside chat. The radio works. I'm a radio man. People listen. That's why the podcasts are doing well. And we're going to be doing podcasts on here as well. That's why podcasts work because people like to just listen. Let their imagination see. If you're not watching and your ears are doing the work, your imaginations are engaged differently. If you are watching and listening, then they're divided between the two worlds. Yeah, I can take that and preach that. So that's why I usually he'd have an ear, let him hear, because you can't go by what you see. Because that's going to confuse. Doesn't make sense what you see. You stand in front of water and water's opening up. No, listen to what I said. Go forward. And so the hearing apparatus is what I appeal to. But I can go coarse. I can go straight. I can go corporate. That's too easy. That's easy. We do jingles. Right now, I'll tie that to copyright services. All the music you hear on 8STRINGTV's production of Bible Temple Nations Ministry, I write all the music. I write it all. I've been doing that for years, and I have a repository, and I thank God for it because right now you got to put out, I don't own the rights to this music. And by the way, we don't allow you to put other folks' music on your platforms. We'll talk about that on the other side. You have to do something different because the day of lawsuits, I think, is waiting in the wings, and I believe it's important that you get away from that. Okay, and so I'm trying to preserve it because if you put it out there, you may have copyrights, but it may not flow to us. And because we're global, they're coming after me. So we'll talk about that. And of course, we also help you copyright your music. I can write it for you. You can own it. And I can copyright it for you as well. It's very cheap to do that as well. It's not a big push. All these scalable services are available to you. So this is my presentation of 8stringtv.com where our motto is where dreams go to become reality. And if you have a dream in your heart, as one person came to me and said, I don't know what to do, but I know I have this thing that I want to do, then I need you to know you need to go over to 8stringtv.com, make you an appointment, pull out that calendar, click on the appointment button. You don't have to give any money. It may look like that, but you don't. unless you just want to give it to me, but you don't have to. Go over there and just and make out the appointment. And we'll contact you with notifications through text message or email. Make sure you leave all your information for us so we can reach out to you, and you can have a one-on-one. Don't have to be a Zoom, just be you and I. But I'm doing this now because it's an easier fit and we're trying to move forward. So God bless you. I'm going to dismiss myself from the public venue. I want those in the back room to hang on because I'm coming back. You're going to unmute your phones at the appropriate time. And I raise your hand, I should say, and then I'll mute you, and you can ask your question. So this is T.L. Stringer saying you need to come over to 8 TV, where all those dreams you have to reach the world with your particular skill set or ministry can become a reality. Literally here. I hope to talk to you soon, real soon.